Ready?
I am.
All right, guys.
All right, guys. It's not paranormal time. It's true crime time again. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Taylor.
And this is
Pure Malice.
We hope you've all had a great week. And if not, we hope that this brings you a little dark joy.
So, I just want you to know before we get all this started.
What?
That on my way to work, I was obviously being very responsible.
Oh.
And I was obviously not scrolling through Facebook as I was driving.
Mm-hmm.
And I obviously did not come across Nelly's performance for like the BET Awards.
Was it so good?
I mean, I listened, I think it was like a 10-minute long video or something, at least 5, at least. But it was so much fun. I was like, oh.
She was getting it. She was having a car concert.
I was. And like at one point, a police officer was beside me and I was like, whoops.
Hey, don't mind me.
Don't look at my tags.
Oh, shit. Are they still out?
I want to talk about it.
Oh, dang. All right. We're going to get straight into it. Okay.
All right. So we're just going to dive in.
Let's go. Welcome to our first episode of Athletes Gone Dark, where we dive into the darker sides of sports history and look at athletes who not only broke records, but also broke the rules and covenants of their sports, and uncover how their actions impacted the history of their chosen sport. We also cover cases of up-and-coming athletes who were taken from us far too soon.
We've decided to start this series off with the case of Rae Carruth.
That's right. You can find episodes of Pure Malice, Athletes Gone Dark for free on Spotify, or you can watch the full video episodes on YouTube. We're beyond grateful for all of our listeners. You power us to do what we love. We love hearing from you, and we want to hear from you. So if you have any suggestions for cases that you would like us to cover, send us a message. Reach out on Facebook or Instagram at Pure Malice Podcast.
So today we're discussing Rae Carruth.
Woo!
So he was the 25-year-old Carolina Panthers wide receiver who in 1999 destroyed his career and life when he paid a hitman to murder his pregnant girlfriend.
That's sad.
Yep. So we're delving into Carruth's rise to stardom in the NFL and his acute escalation to conspiracy of homicide.
That's right.
Next week, we will break down the consequences that followed.
Because remember, people, actions have consequences.
Yep. Are we ready?
We are ready. Let's go.
I guess that's Space Jam.
I just heard it when you said that. Bring it on. Yeah, like Spirit Finger.
Well, I said ESPN, and then I was like, and I was like, oh, that's Space Jam. And then I was like, what is the ESPN thing? Yeah. And that's ESPN, the Sports Center. What is ESPN? I'm going to go with Sports Center. I know that's right.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I think
okay.
So.
If not, y'all can correct us.
Please feel free.
We obviously watch a lot of ESPN and Sports Center.
We love sports, but
I don't watch any of the talk show stuff, though. I only watch the games.
I just like the games, yeah.
Anyways, all right. So we are going to discuss Wade Lamar Theodis Wiggins, born on January 20th of 1974 in Sacramento, California. His parents never married, and he later took the last name of his stepfather, Carruth. From a very early age, Carruth showed a strong interest in natural talent for sports. He was consistently playing baseball and football in neighborhood yards and backyards with his uncles and cousins. On the field, he stood out as a dominant baseball player and an almost impossible receiver to catch in football. He grew up in Oak Park, a rough area of the city known for drugs and high crime, but instead of following the path that was laid out by where he was, Carruth went the opposite direction.
Good for him.
He refused to drink, smoke, or use any drugs of any kind. Instead, he poured nearly all of his focus into athletics. So by high school, football became not only his escape, but his identity. So as soon as he joined the team, he immediately impressed the varsity coaches with his speed and raw athletic ability. But in 1988, at just 14 years of life,
14 years of life. I mean, I guess that works too.
That's what is it that they call they not off them, but they
Unalived.
yes, I hate that
I
shit.
don't like it either.
Anyways, but in 1988, at just 14 years old, his life was thrown into disarray.
Mm.
His mother and stepfather divorced, and his mother struggled to provide for both Carruth and his half-sister.
Mm.
So when she could no longer make ends meet, she made the difficult decision to send the children to live with an aunt in Texas.
That would be a really hard decision as the mother having to part with your kids.
Yeah, I feel like it would be really, really hard as a 14-year-old to transition from like this rough area in South Carolina and then to come to Texas and Sacramento, California.
Yeah.
That could be really, really difficult, in my opinion, for a 14-year-old to navigate. On top of no mom here, you're with an auntie. I can't imagine how the kids were feeling. Or, that would be really hard to adjust to.
Yeah, it would. That would be tough. It definitely would.
The good thing is Texas is pretty dang good at football.
Yes.
Therefore, that was probably a very positive thing. But we will see.
That's right. We will
see. Anyway, so even when Carruth went back to Sacramento, he really had no stability. They moved from house to house and occasionally with their extended family if they couldn't afford a place of their own.
So just always hopping around.
Yep. So always hopping around, constantly having changes and instability badly affected Carruth, and unfortunately his grades suffered pretty badly.
Mm.
However, he still excelled athletically, achieving high honors in basketball, track, and football.
Well, I'm sure that was his escape,
Yeah. So he was also an extremely popular teenage boy. He was elected prom king twice.
Oh.
So,
okay.
I mean, it sounds like his social life wasn't
Didn't suffer.
not as bad.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of his high school career, he accepted a football scholarship to the University of Colorado in Boulder.
That's a good one.
So at the age of 18, he entered his freshman year and immediately enjoyed the benefit of being a high-profile college football player.
T1.
I think so. And while he still didn't drink, smoke, or do drugs, there was one aspect of college that he really, really enjoyed. Can you guess it?
I was going to say, let me guess, women.
The ladies.
That's right.
Where the party at?
I was thinking, the wrong song.
Dang
Sorry.
Yeah, she's off her game.
Sorry, guys.
Anyways, but yes, the ladies. The women, he was very charismatic, quick-witted, and extremely charming. So he was never without female attention, but there was a darker side to his personality.
Mm.
It was said that he could be a little bit moody, he could be vindictive, and even cruel.
Mm.
So, and as you can imagine, those attributes made it hard for any romantic relationship to last very long.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, embracing the fact that he was a ladies' man, he had multiple girlfriends throughout college, and he viewed women as a challenge.
Of course he did.
So, to him, it was as much of a game as the sports he was playing on scholarship. So, over the years, Carruth developed a somewhat callous view of others, and it was said that he basically didn't care about others unless they did something from him.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
If he gained something or he had the advantage with it, like, that's when it mattered. So, that was loud. So, on top of his various female conquests at school, he also remained involved with some women back in Sacramento.
Okay, he had them all over the place.
Mm-hmm. And he
in different area codes.
Stupid. Anyway, so he did make frequent trips back to visit them.
Okay.
So in 1994, during his sophomore year, he began a relationship with Michelle Wright, a former high school classmate. Michelle eventually became pregnant, and although Carruth wanted Michelle to have an abortion, telling her that as a college student, he didn't have enough money to, support a kid, Michelle kept the baby. Instead of manning up and taking on his responsibilities, Carruth bitterly removed himself from her life and from his son's life.
Wow.
So their son,
selfish.
Yes, very. Their son, named Rolando, was born in late 1994. Carruth had no interest in being a father and avoided returning home to Sacramento from that point.
Okay.
So now on the field, he was thriving. He exploded into the scene, breaking records for yards gained in his very first season as a freshman, and his reputation increased in the following seasons. So by his junior year, he was an All-American and named the team's MVP. Academically and athletically, he had a reputation of being serious and hardworking, and he grew to enjoy writing and even fostered ambitions of becoming a poet or screenwriter after his football career was over.
Okay.
Which is actually very interesting to me because most football players go into general studies or communications or business.
Communications. Yeah.
Or
business.
education.
Not him.
Or history. I feel like a lot of the football players I knew went into history, but it's because they wanted to be coaches.
He had bigger dreams.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was obviously a pretty ambitious guy, you know.
Yeah. And saying that, like, he had big goals and they were pretty crystal clear.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a star football player in the NFL, but more than that, as he would say in an interview, he wanted to be famous.
Oh, okay.
So in 1996, the 22-year-old firmly established himself as an NFL prospect with a dominant senior year. He scored 10 touchdowns.
Wow.
Topped the Big 12 conference in receiving yards per game, and led his Colorado Buffaloes team to a 10-2 record.
All right. So he had a hell of a senior year.
Mm-hmm. After the season was over, he was ecstatic to be invited to the official NFL Combine. The Combine was held in Indianapolis, where he had the opportunity to try out for scouts from all 32 teams.
Okay.
So Carruth made a good impression at the Combine. He clocked the fastest 40-yard dash time of any player at 4.17 seconds.
Okay. Speed.
And he did well on both the IQ test and the psychological evaluation despite some problems.
Despite some problems.
Yeah. Which, we don't know what the problems are.
We don't.
But
yeah. Makes you kind of think a little bit.
Yeah. It's just interesting because then the fact that he had kind of like a dark history, past reputation at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But with his athletic profile at 5'11", which is 4 inches shorter than the average NFL wide receiver, his speed and intangibles led scouts and analysts to predict that he would be a top 15 pick.
Okay.
So being selected that highly meant he would receive a massive signing bonus. So money. That was pretty good.
That was good.
Anyways, so a pick in the first 5 meant a signing bonus of up to $5 million. He flew home after the Combine with his confidence at an all-time high.
He felt good about it.
As his opportunity to play in the NFL was almost guaranteed. So he was making that dream into a reality.
I mean, good for you.
So all that was left for him to do was wait and see which team would actually draft him.
Ooh.
But as soon as he returned home, he was bombarded with problems. His mother's house had been broken into and burned to the ground by thieves.
That's a tough one right there.
All of his mother's possessions, including his childhood pictures and trophies, gone. He continued working out for the NFL teams while dealing with that aftermath of the fire, but his performance was hampered by his mental state. Meanwhile, Michelle Rae sued him for child support.
Yeah.
He might not have been able to provide for Rolando as a college student, but now he would be a big football star soon.
Yep.
And she wanted $3,500 a month to care for their 2-year-old son, as well as another $3,500 placed into a trust fund.
Okay.
So
that's a lot of money, though, for one kid.
That's a lot.
Especially before he's actually an NFL player.
Yeah. So he fought the lawsuit and managed to lower his income support to $5,500 total.
Okay.
So instead of $7,000, he got what? $1,500 knocked off?
Yep.
Better than none. Okay.
Better than none. That's right.
Yeah. So more importantly, though, Carruth kept the case quiet out of fear that it would hurt his draft in the NFL.
Okay.
He only fought it a little bit, just enough to make it a little more feasible, but his main thing out of that had to have been not attracting attention because he did not want his draft rate to go down.
Yep.
So Carruth and his family gathered at his aunt's house to watch the draft. And while his family was excited and animated, he was silent and focused. His entire life has led to this moment.
Yeah. He's soaking it in.
So the first 5 picks went by without a wide receiver chosen until finally we arrived to the 7th pick. The New York Giants selected a wide receiver, but it wasn't him.
Disappointing.
Carruth's potential signing bonus was dipping which each name called.
Yep.
The 10th pick came and went without his name being read, and then the 20th pick, and after the Eagles selected a defensive end with their 25th pick, Rae Carruth's cell phone rang, and on the other end was Jerry Richardson, the owner of the Carolina Panthers. Richardson wanted to know one thing, and that was if Carruth wanted to be a member of the Carolina Panthers.
I mean, I get being disappointed about not getting a signing bonus, but me personally, just knowing stats and how very few people get to this level of being a professional athlete, I'll take 26 pick all day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. I mean, me too. I mean, if you think about it, that's why when people are like, oh, I was D1, I was D2, just being a college athlete in general
is a big deal.
Is a huge deal to me, in my opinion. I do think it's really cool, having opportunity to be D1 because then you were just in that smaller of a segment of people.
Yep.
But I think you should be proud no matter what you're in. And then if you make it up to a professional, whether it's overseas, whether
no matter what,
that to me is something amazing too.
Yep. I'm right there with you.
I don't know. Anyways, so Carruth said he did, and his family erupted into cheers as he hung up and told them the news. So the party turned their attention back to the TV. They watched and celebrated as the NFL commissioner announced that the Carolina Panthers, with the 27th overall pick in the draft, officially selected Rae Carruth.
Ooh.
Carruth was well on his way to achieving his goal, and his agent negotiated a signing bonus of $1.3 million on top of his salary of $600,000.
Wow, okay.
So it was more than enough to buy his mom a new home and easily pay the court-ordered $5,500 in child support each month. He also bought his new girlfriend and his girlfriend's mom, Alexis, each. Needless to say, he enjoyed every cent of his newfound wealth. And when his spending spree was over, he moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, where he settled down to begin his NFL career. Unlike spending money, playing in the NFL did not come easy for Rae.
And whenever you said earlier that he was 4 inches shorter, I assume he's also just a smaller build in general. And that's going to be tough on anybody who goes into the NFL.
Well, everybody is the best. Everybody is bigger, stronger, tougher than you. You got to work, right? That's the same case here. The NFL, it was faster, tougher, and more difficult than college football. So even more of a difficult transition was locker room culture.
I definitely feel like that would be an adjustment too.
Yep. He was used to the brotherhood of a college team, more like this family. And then, the older, mostly married NFL players treated football as if it was a job and less interest in socializing with their teammates.
It's literally their job.
Exactly. They had less interest in socializing with teammates. And then, of course, his own reserved personality really didn't do him any favors either.
Definitely wouldn't.
No. So he gained a reputation as a loner in the locker room when he did go out with his teammates. They made fun of him for not drinking, and still, Carruth worked hard on the field and impressed his teammates and coaches with his talent and skills. So on August 31st of 1997, the Carolina Panthers hosted the Washington Redskins for the first game of the season. So although he wasn't listed as a starter, it wasn't long before he saw action.
All right, not bad.
Yep. So down by a touchdown in the middle of the third quarter, the Panthers head coach felt like their offense, who had only a field goal in the first half, needed a boost.
I bet they did.
So what does he do?
He brought in Rae Carruth.
He sure did. He sent Rae Carruth onto the field at the beginning of the fourth quarter, tasking him to catch a pass. He caught the pass for a modest 6 yards before being tackled. He was exhilarated as he bounced off the turf and heard the crowd cheering. He had arrived.
It's intoxicating, just that atmosphere, and it's a good time.
So moving from this game, here we are, game 2. He made 2 catches for 18 yards. And he had 8 receptions in his 3rd game. And on the 5th game of the season against the 49ers, scored his first touchdown. So this is his first touchdown in his NFL career. By the final game of the season, he was almost leading the team in receiving yards during his rookie year, racking up 44 receptions for 545 yards.
Pretty good.
4 touchdowns. And he was nominated for Offensive Rookie of the Year and named to the NFL All-Rookie team. Despite his individual successes on the football field, not all is well for his team. So the Panthers entered the season as favorites to win the NFC South, but badly underperformed. They actually ended the season with a disappointing 7-9 record.
Oh, yeah, that is
and missed the playoffs. So things weren't well at home either. So after the season, his girlfriend actually broke up with him after he blatantly cheated on her.
Oh, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. He didn't seem to care about her or their relationship. So after the breakup, Carruth took back the Lexus that he gave to his girlfriend's mom, and he flaunted his newly single status when he returned to Charlotte to prepare for his 2nd NFL season in the summer of 1998.
Play is back.
So along with a new batch of young Panther players, Carruth became a frequent patron of the local strip clubs and dive bars.
Oh, Lord.
So one night, while bar hopping with a handful of his teammates, he visited the Diamond Club. While his teammates got drinks, he watched the dancers on stage and found himself drawn to one of them.
Oh, we found some love at the strip club. I'm in love with the stripper.
She rockin', she rollin'. Anyway, so he found himself very drawn to one of them, Cherica Adams. In 1998, 24-year-old Carruth attended a teammate's house party and by chance ran into Adams.
Okay. Fate.
So he took this opportunity to introduce himself and turned on the charm.
He turned that way up, huh?
He said, whoop, like a light switch. Yeah. So he took this opportunity, turned on that charm. Doesn't really end out in her favor. Anyway, so
it definitely does not.
Adams was instantly taken by Carruth, and the two of them split off from the rest of the party. They spent the rest of the day together, and that evening, Adams brought Carruth back home to meet her father. This was an extremely unusual move. Her parents took it as a sign, even after only knowing Carruth for a few hours. They bonded over their respective ambitions to be a star NFL player and Adams to be a real estate agent investor. After the party, they continued to see each other, but their busy schedules kept them from entering into a full relationship. Carruth had to stay focused on the upcoming football season. Rae
Carruth. I said his full name, that's all, and it split it up.
24-year-old Rae Carruth was in the best shape of his life as of the 1998 NFL season. And he was determined to prove that his rookie season wasn't a fluke.
Yeah, you would definitely feel like
a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, to prove.
Yeah, I agree. This was the time that he had to establish himself as one of the top receivers in the league.
That's right.
Especially in this first game against the Atlanta Falcons. However, it began in a frustrating fashion for the entire offense in this game. The opposing defense was able to effectively shut him down. He was unable to get enough separation from the defenders and only managed 3 catches for 12 yards with 3 minutes left in the first half. So he finally managed to spot a gap in the defense and exploited it, getting himself wide open far downfield for his quarterback. His quarterback sees him open, hurls the ball towards his wide receiver, but it was slightly overthrown. So Carruth extended himself to catch the ball successfully, getting his hands around and hauling it in. But as he completed the catch, his right foot landed awkwardly on the ground and he felt something pop in his foot and tumbled.
Oh, that hurts me.
So he held on to the ball for a 47-yard completion,
Okay, well, good job holding on.
but paid the price as the trainers and coaches ran out to Carruth when they realized what happened.
Oh, man, unfortunate.
So Carruth couldn't put any weight on his back right foot and needed to be helped off the field. The crowd gave him, that little polite applause as trainers brought him back into the tunnel. He was taken into the exam room for an x-ray. They confirmed Carruth's fear. He had broken a bone in his foot that would keep him out of the action for several games. All of his training and preparation for the 2019.
No.
All of his training and preparation for the 1998 season, all of his ambitions of becoming a star crumbled and fell, all because he took one bad step. Unfortunately, because of the brutal physical nature of football, the average wide receiver only lasts 3 years in the NFL.
That is crazy.
So most of them are out of the league by the time they're 26.
I believe that, though. Football is hard on your body. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, if I'm going to be in the NFL, in the next 10 years, I'm going to be the kicker.
Heck yeah. That's the best position on that field.
Yeah, until
On the
I miss
team.
one.
Listen, if that is your only job.
Just saying.
I mean, I get people have off days, but
I just watched a Miami and Indiana game where
missed it the whole time.
a few.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Pretty sure it was
It's
few.
like a free
I don't
throw.
know. Anyways, but yes, so most wide receivers are out of the league by the time they're 26. So Carruth was determined not to suffer the same fate as most receivers.
Man,
So
sometimes you just don't have a choice.
Yep. His goal was to get himself back on the field as soon as possible. So Carruth spent several weeks with his right foot in a cast. He felt so much pressure to play that as soon as he felt ready, he began pushing to get back on the field, even though he wasn't fully healed.
See, that's just where so many people go wrong. You've got to let your injuries heal.
No matter what age you are.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Especially if you're younger,
It's
in my
important.
opinion. But so he did not want to wait. He didn't want to be seen as obsolete. After missing 7 games, he successfully convinced his coaches to let him play for the Week 10 matchup against the 49ers.
Stupid.
However, it was clear to everyone as soon as he hit the field, he wasn't ready.
Of course he wasn't.
He didn't have the speed, agility, or explosiveness, and he was clearly limping at times. He didn't make a single catch against 49ers.
I mean, honestly, you're not going to be as good, but you're also asking to get hurt again, either a new injury or to re-injure that same injury.
Yep. So afterwards, the team decided to place Carruth on the injured reserve list. So he was done for the year in many ways.
Yep.
It was the first taste of diversity that he had experienced since he left Sacramento to begin college. And he hated watching games from the bench.
Well, don't we all?
And for him, it just added insult to injury. So he had to watch his backup, Rocket, become a star receiver in his absence.
That is hard to watch.
Carruth felt very alone and forgotten as the 1998 season came to a close. In December, with a disappointing 4-12 record,
Oh, gosh.
Ooh,
that's terrible.
he focused on rehab and he remained in Charlotte through this off-season time. But his schedule now opened up and he started rekindling his connection with Cherica.
He got bored and...
And they began to date again seriously.
Okay.
So Adams, feeling very serious very quickly, thoughts rapidly went towards settling down and raising a family with him. Unfortunately for Adams, those feelings were not reciprocated. So Carruth had no intention of becoming exclusive, and after a few months of dating, his eyes began to wander to other women. In March, Carruth had already mentally moved on from Adams and stopped seeing her and taking her calls throughout the spring of 1999. Adams kept trying to reach Carruth, but was unsuccessful by the end of April. Her attempts became more and more urgent and desperate. She had something she needed to tell him in person. So in mid-May 1999, Adams asked one of Carruth's friends to pass on a message.
Okay.
This time, she told him exactly what was going on.
And that was...
She was pregnant.
Bum, bum, bum. People use something to protect. I mean, come on.
So he received the message, but chose to ignore it.
Oh, gosh.
Just ignored it. He didn't call Adams back or send her any sort of reply. She and their baby were out of sight, out of mind as he prepared for the upcoming season. Yep. The truth was he was seeing another woman.
I mean, this is not just one kid that you've done this to. It is now your second child that you're doing this to.
Patternistic. So he was seeing another woman, a 19-year-old waitress named Candace Smith, who, like Adams, worked part-time as an exotic dancer.
Somebody's got to type.
Carruth was comfortable enough to take the relationship more seriously and declared that he would be exclusive to Smith. Carruth became more and more anxious about the situation with Cherica Adams, and then finally, in early summer, Carruth took Smith out to dinner, and he confessed.
This is my confession.
Ooh, Usher, here we go. And he confessed about Adams and her pregnancy. He denied that the baby was his, and he bitterly complained that Adams hadn't been on birth control and worried about the financial impact another kid would have. Candace was shocked by Carruth's behavior. She knew the truth that he had this reputation as a womanizer. But the extent and selfish way that Carruth seemed to process the news affected her deeply after that night. Smith decided to take a step back from their relationship, and eventually Carruth couldn't ignore the pregnancy any longer, and he finally returned Adams' call. Right away, he said he wanted her to have an abortion, but Adams refused. No matter what Carruth said, she was gonna have the baby.
Her body, her choice.
So his mood grew darker as the NFL season approached. This was just more proof that he had no empathy for anyone else, let alone Cherica Adams. He only cared about how she could ruin his life. He was now starting to believe that she was an existential threat that could put everything in his life at risk. He needed to do something drastic. He was determined to do whatever it took to prove his worth and make a name for himself. The stakes had never been higher. If he didn't perform or failed to stay healthy, his future in the league could be thrown into question. So everything that Carruth did was carefully calibrated to increase his potential success and fame. He even went through 5 different uniform numbers before finally settling on number 89. The number that no other famous NFL player had worn before.
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
That's weird.
Yeah. There was one problem, though, and that was the fact that his ex-girlfriend, 24-year-old Cherica Adams, was pregnant with his child, and that she refused to have an abortion.
It's hard for me to understand how people see a kid or someone being pregnant with their kid as being such a big threat. Like, you can make things work.
Like, I understand, there's money at stake because, child support and stuff, but, to me, that's not something that's going to impact, what's going to impact your career is getting caught doing something stupid.
That's exactly right.
So let's just talk about him getting caught doing something stupid.
Speaking of,
as long as Adams still exists and still insisted on having a baby, his life and career would be tied to her.
It's just so silly. It's very immature thinking.
So by midsummer in 1999, he had made up his mind. He needed the pregnancy to go away, no matter what. And he knew just the man who could make it happen.
That's another thing that kills me is all these athletes, all these
shady
famous
characters.
People. Yeah, they know so many people, which, again, I guess we talked about that in the last case, too. Like, money comes with that kind of stuff, but golly.
While living in Charlotte, he had gotten to know a handyman and bouncer, and his name was Van Brett Watkins.
What a name.
Yep. Nicknamed New York Watkins.
Okay.
He was a large, intimidating man with a long rap sheet. He had been, convicted of assault, illegal weapons, possession, criminal mischief, and grand larceny.
Golly.
It's a pretty lofty sheet right there.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
He also had a serious anger issue.
That's fun.
And this would manifest into extreme violence. Once he set his prison cellmate on fire and snapped on his own brother.
That's intense.
He was known to occasionally ferry drugs between Atlanta and Charlotte.
Okay.
He was also known to kill people for money.
How are you known for that?
I don't know. So Watkins claimed that he murdered 4 people in New York, Miami, and Atlanta. Initially, Carruth hired him to build a fence, and he enjoyed having Watkins around. You know, it felt like a breath of fresh air from the NFL coaches and players that Carruth was otherwise surrounded by.
Yeah, he was just a normal guy. It was nice to be around him.
Yep. So he felt like Watkins seemed pretty trustworthy. So Carruth decided to hire him for another job. He told him that they needed to talk urgently. So they conducted this meeting at a U-Haul parking lot.
So professional.
And within minutes of arriving, after making sure that they weren't being watched, Carruth had made up his mind about what he wanted to do.
Wow.
So he told Watkins that he had a problem that he wanted to deal with and that it involved pregnancy. Watkins was taken back and could not believe that Carruth was seriously asking him to kill a baby. So he asked if Carruth was serious, and he even offered to pay Watkins a down payment beforehand.
Wow.
Watkins didn't have a problem murdering people for money. But his skills were all used for men whom he thought deserved it. For him to hurt an innocent woman and child, that was crossing some sort of line. He told Carruth that he had reservations. However, that down payment could be more than Watkins made in the entire year of doing jobs. So he was open to hearing more.
Wow.
Carruth told him the whole story, said that he was willing to pay a large amount of money to get rid of the baby. He promised a big payday. So the promise of a big payday was too much for Watkins to ignore. So he said, all right, I'm your man. I'll do it.
How much?
So he said that he would do it for $3,000.
I thought you were going to say 300,000.
3,000 plus a $300 retainer.
Wow.
Yep. So Carruth graciously agreed.
I'm sure he did.
Without negotiating, because you know what?
That $3,000 is less than the child support he paid for the first child.
Exactly. And it's a one-time payment. They drove to the convenience store where Carruth checked out $300 from the ATM to pay Watkins the requested retainer.
Wow.
So Watkins took the money, still not entirely sure how serious Carruth was about this entire idea.
Wow.
So they discussed possible plans based around the idea that Watkins would beat up Cherica Adams, causing a miscarriage. However, the two of them couldn't get around the fact that Cherica would be able to identify her assailant. That caused problems. So this problem stumped them as the summer went on.
Okay.
So Carruth nor Watkins were able to come up with a solution or an alternate plan in the meantime to make himself look less suspicious. Carruth made an effort to play the part of an expectant father, even joined Cherica Adams for doctor's visits and the Lamaze classes.
Wow.
Adams had since given up her dream of forming a nuclear family with Carruth, but resigned herself to accept how much Carruth had, chosen to be involved and was just trying to make the best of it in the meantime. She was just happy that he was doing his due diligence.
I mean, yeah, I can understand that.
This allowed for Carruth to stalk Adams in order to get to know her routine, where she lived, what car she drove, where she usually parked, and at this point was pushing Watkins to get the job done. But he also wanted to take this time to pick the perfect time and place. Until then, Carruth turned his attention back to football. So on September 12th in 1999, he finally took the field again. He took the field in the season opener against the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, that's my team. Love them.
So his performance was unremarkable, totaling 5 catches for 65 yards, which was far from the all-star performance that Carruth expected from himself. He knew that if he was going to turn his career around, he had to start performing better. However, in the following weeks, his numbers only got worse. He only had 2 catches for 27 yards. So he wasn't doing so hot, even though he had this plan.
And the thing is, like, how can you? I mean, how
Like,
you're so focused on this. Yes, you're focused on this other thing instead of your actual career and what you need to be doing here.
Mm-hmm. His performances were marked pretty embarrassing. So his career was just hanging by a thread at this point.
Yep.
So after the 4th game of the season, he officially lost his starting role. On October 17th in 1999, the Panthers were in San Francisco for their 5th game of the season. Carruth started the game on the bench, but when he got a chance to enter the game midway through the first quarter, he threw himself into it with as much energy and focus as he could. On the second play of the game, he managed to get free from the defender 13 yards down the field. The quarterback threw the ball to him. He caught it with ease, but once again, landed awkwardly. This time on his left ankle, and he felt a sense of awful deja vu. As the trainers helped him off the field and back into the examination room, after examining him, the doctors actually gave him some pretty good news. It wasn't a broken ankle. However, it was a bad sprain that would keep him out for, at least a month.
That's tough.
So Carruth couldn't believe it. Despite his best efforts and his hard work, his NFL career was slipping away, and it wasn't even the worst news that he'd received that week. In the days after his injury, Carruth was hit with another blowout. He was the victim of a Ponzi scheme.
So his walls, I mean, they're just crumbling all around him, every aspect of his life.
Yep. He had invested nearly $1 million in an associate's business, which turned out to be fraudulent. So once the losses were tallied and Carruth took a closer look at his own finances, he realized he only had about $150,000 to his name.
Oh, man. See, that's another thing. If you have this much money, you need a financial advisor. You need someone to do all of this stuff for you.
Yep. He realized he didn't even have enough money to pay off his mortgage.
Wow.
So, of course, at this point, everything is going wrong for Rae Carruth. He was ashamed and embarrassed by the Ponzi scheme losses, and this frustrated him. Between his injury and this, he was just angry at the world. He felt the need to lash out. And there was the perfect person that he could blame for many of his problems.
That is terrible. It's your fault, dude.
So in his darker, angrier frame of mind, Carruth's plan warped. He no longer wanted to just make Adams have a miscarriage. He wanted her dead. So by November of 1999, he was tired of Watkins' delays. Adams was now 30 weeks pregnant, and they were running out of time to prevent the baby from being born. In his desperation, he even resorted to threatening Watkins.
Wow.
Saying he hired somebody from Sacramento to kill him if he didn't complete the job. He needed to expedite things. So Carruth reached out to another friend named Michael Kennedy, also known as Little Man, who also had a violent criminal history. They had met at a rim shop for a car customization business where Kennedy worked. He saw Kennedy as a kindred spirit who had the same taste of cars. He thought he could trust him. So he thought Kennedy would do it just because he was friends with him and because he was a famous NFL player. On November 15th of 1999, Carruth brought Watkins and Kennedy together and told them the plan. So Adams was coming to Carruth's house for a date that night. And after the date, Carruth and Adams would drive back to Adams' house in separate cars. And once they were somewhere quiet and dark, he would stop his car. When Adams stopped her car, they would pull up beside her and do what they were paid to do. Kennedy was scared and apprehensive. He didn't really want to be involved. Yeah. But he was too afraid of what they would do to him if he said no. So at this point, he felt like he had no choice, so he agreed to drive the car. So he and Watkins went off to buy a gun while Carruth stayed at the house. At 9 p.m., Cherica Adams arrived to Carruth's house. She was unsure why he suddenly invited her out on a date, but was willing to try anything to make sure that they were at least on friendly terms when the baby arrived.
And you can't blame her for that.
No. So as soon as she walked through the door, an uneasiness returned to her. He seemed very distracted and kept leaving the room to talk on the phone. Eventually, he told Adams they were leaving. She ignored her suspicions and went along with it.
Always go with your gut feeling, guys.
Meanwhile, Kennedy and Watkins met up with a friend and paid $100 for a .38 caliber revolver and 1 box of bullets. So Watkins loaded the 5 bullets, then tossed the rest of the ammunition in a storm drain, and Kennedy's friend, Stanley Abraham, tagged along for the ride.
Bad idea.
Yep, but had no idea what the agenda was. Abraham became increasingly confused as the night went on. And when he found out they were going to commit a murder, he fearfully asked to be driven home.
I bet he did.
But it was too late. So none of the 3 men in the car really wanted to be there, but all were tied together by money and fear of Carruth and fear of the consequences of failing to go through with it.
So they were just scared of him.
Yep. So Carruth and Adams met up with another Panthers player and his girlfriend at a theater to see The Bone Collector.
What a movie to watch right before you know you're going to have your girlfriend murdered.
So after the movie, Carruth called Kennedy as they left the theater just to say, hey, we're headed home. Get ready. So just after midnight, Carruth and Adams returned to his house. Upon their return, he told Adams that he wanted to stay the night at her place. And this surprised her a little, but she agreed to have him over. So they got into their respective cars to drive there. Kennedy and Watkins watched as Carruth and Adams pulled out of the driveway. They followed as Watkins put on the gloves and the ski mask and loaded the gun. Abraham sat in the back seat, but he was terrified. Adams pulled onto a stretch of road that was dark and isolated at this time of night. As she reached a dip in the road, Carruth's car came to an abrupt stop as he slammed on the brakes. Adams also had to slam on the brake to avoid hitting him. As this happened, Kennedy pulled up alongside Adams' car, and from the back seat, Watkins rolled down the window, shoved his hand through, and roughly aimed the gun at the driver's side window of Adams' car. 5 shots rang out. Carruth quickly drove off while Kennedy and Watkins followed through with the rest of the plan. Step 1, making sure that Adams was dead. They both looked into the car and saw her motionless body and were convinced. The second part of the plan was to steal her purse to make it look like a robbery. But neither Kennedy nor Watkins wanted to get any closer to Adams' dead body. So they ignored step 2 and fled the scene.
Wow.
However, they also failed in step 1. So Adams was not dead. As soon as Kennedy's car left, Adams pulled herself up, barely able to breathe through the blood, and began driving. She had been shot 3 times in the back and once in the neck, but managed to grab her cell phone and call 911 as she struggled to speak.
Man.
So Adams told the police where she was, that she was 8 months pregnant and she'd been shot. So a paramedic got on the phone with Adams. He asked her exactly what happened, and she told the paramedic, who then asked her who she was with when she was attacked. She said Rae Carruth, number 89 of the Panthers, did it.
Oh, man.
And this is where we're gonna leave you.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Taylor.
And remember, it's not just crime.
It's
Pure Malice. Thanks again for listening to Pure Malice. We will be back next week with part 2 of the Rae Carruth case to hear the aftermath of the shooting and how Carruth was eventually brought to justice.
You can find all episodes of Pure Malice on Spotify, or you can watch the full video episodes on YouTube. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Pure Malice Podcast. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Do-do-do. Do-do-do.